Hello, this is T Signs, your ATL Sherpa. Welcome to the Atlanta Craft Beer Map. This is a new mapping tool that I created to help people explore the different breweries and brew pubs in the city. And just want to take a few minutes and walk you through what's on the map to make sure you get the most out of it. What you're looking at here is just sort of the main view of the map. On the left over here, you have the legend, which is the most important part because all these little check boxes over here are what we call layers. And if you click on those check boxes, it will add this content or these layers to the map. Okay, I'm going to walk you through them all in the next 5 to 10 minutes, just so you make sure you can navigate the map and get what you need here. But the other thing you can do with this map, with the legend over here, if you see the little three dots at the top, you can collapse the legend and it'll go away. And then if you click on the little box up here at the top that says map legend, that'll bring it back up here. So you're going to want to keep the legend up because this is where all the good stuff is. So let me walk you through it here. At the beginning at the top there is just a quick description with some links to a website that I created called atlhops.com. That's really the companion website that goes with this map. And then there's a link right there to my podcast and newsletter, which is atlsherpa.com. So if you haven't already subscribed to that, please do that. But here's the good stuff. So the first layer here is called breweries and pubs. And if you click on the little down arrow there, that's going to expand that list for you. And these are all the breweries and brew pubs that I've added to this map. The last count, there was about 86 of them. Some of these businesses have multiple locations, but that's 86 breweries. And this covers, let me zoom out for a minute. You'll see the area. Well, actually, that's pretty much zoomed out right there. I've got breweries that extend as far north as Canton, Georgia, and all the way down to Noonan and Peachtree City, if you know where that is, south of the city. So what I've done with this map is I've added the breweries for the whole, let's call it metro Atlanta area, Atlanta and its suburbs. Atlanta, for those of you that don't know the city, you see this sort of ring right here. This is Interstate 285. This is when people talk about Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, the in-town area. They're really referring to this area that's within the city. Okay, but I wanted to include breweries that were up in the suburbs of Atlanta, like up in here in Dunwoody, Kennesaw, Marietta, Johns Creek, up and coming. There's a few Duluth and places like that because there are some fantastic breweries up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a second. In a minute, you'll see that I've created these kind of touring districts, if you will, and I'm going to explain all that in a minute. But there's not enough room on this map. The application that I use for this is called Google My Maps. That's just a Google mapping tool. You can only put so much on one map. So I didn't have enough room here because of the limitations of the app to add the touring districts for those breweries that are out in the suburbs. But I plan to, and I'm going to come out with a second version of this map that includes that. So let me show you a couple other things, little tricks that you probably might overlook if you don't know. If you see the list here after I expanded the list of breweries over here, if you click on any of the names, what it does is it opens up this panel, slides in from the left, that gives you details about that business. So the website link, or in this case, the Facebook link, the address. And if you click on those links, it will take you to a place where you can get photos, hours of operation. If you want to map this, find out how to get there, like directions, just click on the link that says view in Google Maps, and it'll take you right to where you want to be. And then to close that panel, just click on that left arrow right there, and it'll go away. Okay, you can do that for any of these businesses. That little panel comes in from the left for all of them. Another thing you can do, if you go over here, let's take a look at Arches Brewing here, which is down here in Hapeville. You click, you see the little hop icons that are right on the map itself. If you zoom in a little bit more, if you click on the icon itself, you get the same thing. Notice how the panel comes in from the left right there. So there's two ways to get to that information. Okay, so that's the first layer. We kind of collapse that list. The second one, like I'm going to turn, you see all the little icons. That's a good way to see where all the breweries are laid out around the city. And in a minute, actually, let me tell you, just show you right now. If you notice, there are certain areas of town where there tend to be clusters of breweries over here in Avondale Estates, for example. So what I did to make this whole area more approachable is I've created what I'm calling beer districts that are basically where you see clusters of these breweries. And I've created, these are, I call them beer districts, but they're basically touring districts, areas that you can go and kind of be in one part of town and go to different breweries. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. There's actually 4 beer districts on this map. But let's go through the rest of the layers here. So I'm going to turn that layer off just to clean up the map a little bit. And then I'm going to click the next one, which is beer savvy restaurants. See the icon changes a little bit. You see the little tap right there. Those are all the restaurants. And there's right now, this is a growing list too. Let's go ahead and look at the list. Expand it by clicking on the down arrow. And it's the same thing as before. If you click on the name of the business, you will see the panel from the left slide in and you'll get all the information you need about that business. In this case, it's the Argosy down in East Atlanta Village, which is one of my favorite restaurants and bars. Here's the criteria, or here's the common thread. All of the restaurants that are on this list are restaurants that I believe have an exceptional, or let's put it this way, a very respectable beer program, craft beer program. Okay, so I know there are many, many more restaurants in the city that have very good beer programs. And I'm asking anybody that knows of any that they think I should add to the map. I think you can put up to 100 different items in these layers. And right now I'm at about 45. So I've got a lot of room to add restaurants. If you know of any that have, again, the criteria is it's got to be a really decent craft beer. And I'm not talking about just, your sort of garden variety craft beers. It's got to be a really heads up craft beer, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so that is the restaurants. I'm going to turn that off for a minute, and I want to show you a couple of other layers here. Zoom out just a little bit on the map. I'm going to turn the brewery layer back on. Pop those breweries back on. I want to show you a couple other layers here. So there's one called biking and walking trails. Watch what happens here. What I did here was I added all of the segments of the Atlanta Beltline, which is a biking and walking trail system that goes around the city of Atlanta. And what I did was I color coded them based on their stage of readiness, construction, or open. So you'll see the links right there, the little notes right here. The East Side Trail, well, it's already open. And if you click on there, it takes you right on in. The reason that and by the way, notice that when I clicked on that name, you got that panel that we looked at before. I've included links to the official Beltline map, a specific map that takes you to a map just for that portion of the trail. And then if you want construction updates for that segment of the trail, you can click on this link right here. Each of those segments has similar information. I added all this because I know this would be of interest to a lot of people. But the reason that I added these biking and walking trails is to show you where the breweries are in relation to. There's a couple over here on the East Side Trail that are literally on the East Side Trail, directly on the East Side Trail. And if you know that area, you know what those are. You've got Park Tavern up here. Actually, Orpheus is right up here. And then you've got New Realm Brewing right here on the East Side Trail. But I added these trails so that you could see where the breweries are in relation to the trails. If you know the southwest area here, you've got these 3 breweries that are right on the south side, sorry, the west side trail here. West End, Wild Heaven, West End, and Monday Night Garage. And then the same thing down here in Grant Park at the Beacon. You've got those two. You've got Elsewhere Brewing and Eventide. And I'm going to get to those in just a minute when you see my touring districts. But again, I added this layer here so that you could see, and if you were close to where one of these trails are, you can bike or walk. Well, I prefer walking if you're going to be out drinking. Walk to some of these breweries if you're in those areas. Another layer that I added, which I thought would be helpful, is the entire MARTA transit system, showing the location of all of the MARTA transit stops or transit stations. Those are the M's icons here. And if you scroll in, or sorry, zoom in, I did this so that you could see where the breweries are in relation to the different MARTA transit stations. And again, you can expand that list right like that. Okay, so a lot of breweries and brew pubs are right near or right on the MARTA line. So, take advantage of that as a great way to get around. Okay, now let me get to the main part here. This is the sort of one of the unique features of this map. Excuse me. I've added these, what I call them districts. These are these groupings, touring areas that I created. There's the South Side District, the Central District, the East Side District, and the Upper West Side. I'm just going to go through them real quick. But click on the South Side District, and you'll see what it did there. It added this blue line. Okay, this is specific to this particular application, Google My Maps. It's blue is all you can do, and you can just sort of string these locations together like this in the form of a tour, if you will, a driving tour. And again, let's expand the list over here. You can either click on the For More or the little down arrow and see all of the breweries that are in the South Side District. Again, these are sort of arbitrary areas of town that I created to facilitate the touring of these breweries. And I did that because it's kind of all in the same part of town, right? So here they are: Best End, Wild Heaven, Monday Night Garage, Halfway Crooks, Elsewhere Brewing, Eventide, Sabbath Brewing, and Hip and Hops. Okay, those are the breweries that are in my South Side District. And you can see the line there. It links all of the breweries together in geographic order, if you will. In this case, from west, which is over here, to east, which is over here in East Atlanta Village. Okay, so again, spend some time with that, click on the links, and you'll get the drill. Let's just go real quick through the other three districts. Here's the Central District. I think once you see these different districts, you'll see how or why I grouped them the way I did. This one starts at the Three Taverns Imaginarium down in Reynoldstown and works its way north, kind of follows the East Side Trail, and it ends up there at Sweetwater Brewing, which is technically in Piedmont Heights. Okay, so again, spend some time there. That is what I call the touring district, Central District. The other one, the third one here is the East Side District. And look what a straight line that is. That is everything starting from the Wrecking Bar, which is on Moreland Avenue. It says little 5 points here. It's technically an Inman Park, but once you cross Moreland Avenue, you enter DeKalb County, and the rest of these breweries are almost in a straight line all the way down to Cab Avenue and College Avenue. Great area to go brewery touring. And all the way over here in Decatur, you've got Three Taverns in East Decatur. You've got Twain's Brew Pub right there in Decatur. And then way over here on the far east side, you've got these three breweries in Avondale Estates, and that's a very, very cool part of town. This is all within walking distance of each other. So spend some time on that. And then the last district is what I call the Upper West Side. So let's go up here to the Northwest. That's a term that people actually are using these days to refer to this part of town. It's basically the area that is west of I-75, which is this big highway right here, and north of the city, north of even Midtown. This is the Midtown area of Atlanta right here. So this up here is a very fast growing, very popular part of the city, as evidenced by the number of breweries that are opening along there. This one starts at the original Monday Night Brewing, which is technically in Berkeley Park. and it works its way all the way, as you can see, all the way up to the original Scofflaw Brewing, which is way up here in Hills Park. So anyway, that's how the map works. There's a couple other, I forgot the last two layers. The Beltline breweries, we kind of looked at this before, but this is a kind of its own touring district, if you will. Zoom back out, and you'll see all of the breweries. Now, this is a long way. You could walk this, but you would be basically burning off all of the calories that you would be consuming as you went around the Beltline, because this is a good 6 miles, 7, 8 miles or more. So, but that's an interesting way of envisioning or visualizing all of the breweries that are on one of those trails that we talked about before. If you can actually go back up and add the biking and walking trails, you'll see that it follows those trails specifically right down the road there. Okay, so the last layer is it's just a grouping. You can only put 10 stops on these different touring layers. So what I did here was I came up with a list. Turn off the breweries. A list of 10 of my favorite restaurants. Now, this is not a tour of in any logical order, as you can see from the line. I actually listed these over here in alphabetical order. So disregard the line on the map, but at least the line kind of tells you where they are in relation to each other. And what I did here, again, I put, based on my familiarity with the city and my personal preferences, I chose 10 restaurants that I adore and that I think have exceptional beer programs. So I hope you take some time and look at them. I hope you can enjoy the city of Atlanta, especially if you're visiting here. I hope you find this map helpful. If you're a local and you see something that doesn't look right, or if you have some suggestions for this map, I really appreciate it. I created it for beer lovers like you. I hope you'll take advantage of it. And if you find it helpful, please share it with your friends. I have a podcast called atlsherpa.com. If you care to follow me on that, I'd certainly appreciate it. And of course, I'm on Facebook, so you can follow me there as well. Appreciate your interest and your attention. This is Steve Sines, your ATL Sherpa.